Pandemic has taught us various lessons, and the biggest of all is the nations must have their supply chains independent of China. Anything Chinese is indeed a national security threat. From masks to big machinery, from chips to batteries, China can weaponize anything against you. China today can cripple any nation by reining in rare earths supplies to it. A lockdown in China can very well deprive you of your necessities. But the world is now waking up to this grave threat. Consider this: Japan and South Korea are now teaming up to prevent China from taking over the EV supplies. China wishes to dominate the global battery sector so that it can cripple world battery supply chains at its will. But this wish has now been ruthlessly quashed by Tokyo and Seoul. Hi and welcome, you're watching TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Piyush, and in this video I will explain South Korea and Japan's game plan to end China's dominance in the battery manufacturing sector once and for all. Let's begin. It's true that historical differences still dominate the bilateral ties between Japan and South Korea. But that has not stopped the two countries from joining hands to take down their biggest adversary in the EV and battery sector, China. Batteries are an indispensable element for the thriving EV sector. The global market for EV batteries has grown to the size of $27 billion in 2021 and is expected to continue expanding. China wants to dominate this sector. In fact, it already dominates at least 40% of the global battery market. And if the democratic world doesn't gear up to brave China on this front, the communist nation would soon spread its tentacles all over the EV and battery sector. But it looks like Japan and South Korea have already sensed the gravity of the situation. Apart from China, South Korea and Japan are the only nations that have considerable battery manufacturing infrastructure at home. They have expertise, they have skilled labor, and they indeed have the political will to hurt China where it hurts unbearably. Companies like LG, Panasonic, and Samsung have already secured more than 40% share in the global EV battery manufacturing sector. And now they are eyeing an even bigger share in the market at the expense of their Chinese counterparts. Take Japanese giant Panasonic for example. Last December, the company had announced that it will expand its EV battery-related operations in Nevada. The Japanese company already produces 2170 type cylindrical lithium-ion cells for Tesla at the Tesla Gigafactory 1 in Sparks and now would like to add a new campus in Reno. Panasonic aspires to beat all of its competitors in the EV battery sector, and now it is rapidly expanding its production bases. Panasonic's total EV battery manufacturing capacity today stands at 50 gigawatt hours and is expected to grow at a furious pace in the coming years. Similarly, another Japanese giant, Honda, is partnering with South Korean battery maker LG Energy Solutions to ramp up their battery manufacturing capabilities. The potential battery JV between LGES and Honda could cost as much as $3.4 billion and have an annual production capacity of up to 40 gigawatt hours of batteries, which is enough to power 600,000 electric vehicles. Earlier this year, South Korean President Moon Jae-in had said that South Korea will strive to become a global battery manufacturing powerhouse by 2030. In July, Moon had told the Korea Economic Daily, "Batteries are the backbone of the Korean industries that hold the future of the country. We should sharpen our competitiveness and take over our bigger rivals and further widen the gap between our followers." The Moon administration has also announced tax relaxations and incentives for domestic battery manufacturing companies. Thanks to the government's pro-battery manufacturing policies, South Korea has so far gained investments worth a whopping $35.4 billion in the sector from giants like LG Energy Solutions Limited, Samsung SDI Company, and SK Innovations Company. On the other hand, Japan has also announced some radical and bold measures to boost its EV battery manufacturing sector. As per a Nikkei Asia report, the Japanese government is already planning to subsidize programs to attract global battery manufacturers to set up their production plants in Japan. Mind the fact that subsidy programs vehemently help Chinese producers price their products at a lower value than their foreign counterparts. Japan is now targeting this Chinese model and replicating it to boost its own EV and battery industry. Japan and South Korea are now working hand in glove to defeat China at its own game. The two countries have already launched their multi-billion-dollar subsidy programs to attract global semiconductor giants, and now they are all set to ravage China's hefty dreams of ruling the global EV battery sector.